the key to winning is real, true, authentic differentiation. As you're coming into a crowded category, you have to seize the story and own the narrative in order for anyone to remember you. The best way to do that is with the person with the highest conviction, which is your founder. There's this whole lore that founders need to build around what they stand for. It's the art of building a movement around yourself that people can relate to. I've worked across B2B and B2C, so I think I have a unique, slightly weird point of view on what bold means. How do you become unforgettable? How do you become the brand that people can't stop thinking about? Brands making a comeback, and it's a force multiplier. I don't know why everyone isn't doing this, but I think it's one of the best places to start when you're early stage.
By the way, fun fact, I'm going to Las Vegas with my 10-year-old son today. And I think I told Kate, it's
a baseball tournament?
It's a baseball tournament, but it's on Halloween. And
Spooky.
I'm just like, you guys, I'm basically going to have to tell Koa on the flight, I have my thing down. Hey, you're about to see things that I need you to unsee by the end of the trip. I mean, I'm like, guys, it's not like the people there are dressed as Freddy Krueger. Like, this is good. The outfits are going to be just, I don't know, man. He's going to see some shit. But
it's going to be intense.
Yeah, but they are trick-or-treating in Henderson.
Oh, well, that's cute.
Yeah, they have the whole team has like outfits, and so they all have nicknames. Did you know? They all did like, hardcore, OG gangster, like all these things. And my son chose his nickname. You know what he chose?
What?
Larry.
Oh.
I give him so much credit for that. I mean, think about that. That's funny.
It is funny. From ABM to PLG, from Medic to MedPick, the world of business is constantly evolving. We'll cover the who, what, where, when, why, and most importantly, how you get the transaction. I'm Matt Amundson, and he's Craig Rosenberg. Let's get started. It is fun.
Okay, do you guys know each other, by the way?
Sort of.
Now we do.
Yeah.
Okay, because
We share the same prison cell.
Kate, in many places, that's not good.
In this place, it's just fine.
By the way, Kacie is awesome, dude.
No, I know this.
I've known her now.
I've seen her speak many times. She's very awesome.
Right. And I knew her stuff from before just because of the amazing LinkedIn work. But like, dude, now I've been hanging out with her. She's amazing. This is a great guest for the show.
I appreciate it.
We got to do this LinkedIn roadshow together, and we've been hanging out, and she's brilliant, funny,
It's been so fun.
amazing. Yeah. And so I was
are
like,
you.
we got to have her on the show. So here's the deal. So Kacie is a amazing CMO for anybody. But what I've really loved was watching the work at Sendoso, the way they tackled social, LinkedIn, frankly, everything. They were everywhere.
Yes.
Right. And they did eat the market, by the way, too, over that course of time while Kacie was there. Right. There were other people in the market. And I think they all are now under the umbrella of Sendoso because these guys basically just took over the market, and mindshare and brand was a major part of it. So like Kacie's not just about the social megaphone, but about brand. She created a category at Fastly that I read about on LinkedIn, where she was like, basically laid it all on the line for this category, faced a lot of resistance, and built it. I don't know what it was. Sorry, Kacie, I'm not that technical, but like, that's the kind of person that should be on this show, not just because of your personality, but because you are a person that can build corporate brand, personal brand, and put those two things together and build companies. And that's why you're here. So everyone, Kacie Jenkins.
Wow, thank you, Craig.
It's true. By the way, I don't write any of that down. That is like my true feelings. And now we've been hanging out. We did a call last week, Matt. You didn't. Are you jealous?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. That's good. All right. So there's two parts to the show. So Number one is we ask every guest to tell us a story that means something to them. It could be funny, it could be heroic or whatever about B2B. But if not, we did have our most famous story was about Brent Adamson and about maggots on a plane flight he had, and that was very popular. We're okay with that. We like to laugh. We like to cry. You do what you do.
Wow,
and then the
I don't
second
have any
part.
maggot stories.
No, please. We don't need another one. Yeah, yeah. Yet. And then the second one is we want to hear, we built the show based on this idea that it's different now, extremely different, trying to B2B go to market these days. And so we'd like to hear sort of your 1 to 3 things you would say work in today's world. And then that's the show. We just kind of take it from there. So, Kacie, tell us a story.
I have a couple.
Ooh, we like when there's a couple. Thank you.
The most Halloweeny interesting is that we at Fastly had a very luxurious customer advisory board trip that we would do annually, and my team kind of handcrafted this every year with boutique hotels, and we partnered with our hospitality friends. And one year we decided to do it in Aspen. And I was lucky to work for a CEO who was just as unhinged as I am, and he was a downhill skier, kind of a adrenaline junkie. So he loved to race, he loved to ski, anything fast, and um, he and I decided we wanted to take all of our customer advisory board members skiing, which somehow we convinced our legal team to let us do. And we booked out this whole hotel in Aspen and flew everyone in, and realized that quite a few of these people didn't know how to ski. So we were actually teaching them to ski. One. And this was like the CTOs, the heads of engineering at like JP Morgan Chase, like New York Times, Target. And then two, we realized the hotel has neglected to tell us it's haunted.
Oh.
And there's pictures of this like small child that haunts it all over the hotel. And so people are coming in, like walking down the hall to their room going, "What's this? What is this about?" And the staff's just like, "Oh yeah, it's haunted. If you're on this floor in the old wing, he might visit you." And so we kind of had to be like, okay, we have to make this a shtick. It's like part of the thing. Like we knew it was haunted. So we played it up, and no one said that they got visited, but apparently this ghost would like take things, like if things went missing out of your room, it was the ghost. So that's the first part of the story, is that we had a haunted cab, which is I think on brand for me. But the second is that our CEO was like an expert downhill skier, like really, really good, like double black. And he got impatient with teaching the people who didn't know how to ski. And he was like, "You're good. You got this." And took all the advanced people. And I am not a great skier. And I ended up like trying to backward ski, teach these people to ski down this hill, which was terrifying. And they're like pizzaing with their skis down. And we made it. And but I think at least 3 of those people ended up working for us, like coming over to work with Fastly, because it was such a like deep bonding experience.
That's right.
To get down the mountain together. So I recommend slightly harrowing types of experiences. They bond you together in a more human way than just like, let's go have some cocktails.
Yeah, I got to comment on that. Well, first of all, the haunted hotel was a twist I was not expecting.
Yeah, didn't see that coming.
The pictures were so weird too. It was
I'm sure
apparently this child drowned. So in some of these pictures, it's like this ghostly wet child like dripping.
Oh God. Oh
yeah,
Lord.
it's not funny, but I don't know how real any of this is either, but it's a legend.
But it is interesting because what you said at the end brings it all back, which is like, this is much better than just having your cab show up, feed them a nice dinner in San Francisco and get them drinks. Yeah, unforgettable. And your personal experience of training these folks, that was really human. It is, the whole thing for you is very on brand because you're not playing standard. And so so that was a great story. The haunted twist thing, I'm not sure I could stay. I stayed at the Driscoll, and that's haunted, right?
Yeah.
And but they didn't tell me till after, so that was great. And then I was going back out there. I was bringing my kids. I said, I made the mistake. I told them, well, we could stay at the really classic hotel. It's the Driscoll. It is haunted. And of course, they stayed no, so I had to stay at the Aloft or whatever. But yeah, very typical. But yeah, I got my Marriott points. So that was a great. So I love that, and there's a really good lesson there, which is because everyone's trying to do these events and whatnot, but like doing something really special, memorable that forces you to interact with, in the case of this, your customers and everyone interacting together. That I think that's really cool. I do hope nobody was haunted by this little kid, but on the other hand, that could have been a funny story too. So, all right, good. That's my reaction.
I've got a fun fact.
It's got a reaction.
Fun fact.
Oh God.
Tell us.
I don't believe in ghosts.
You don't?
No, I don't believe it.
Well, you've just never been properly haunted.
Yeah, let's take a poll. Hold on a sec.
Go ahead.
Kacie, do you believe in ghosts?
I do.
Craig?
Here's my deal. My feeling on ghosts is that I want to convince myself that ghosts don't exist, so I'm not scared. But I am afraid of ghosts.
Oh.
That doesn't mean. So I'm not sure that was the same answer. But like, if I was in that hotel, my mind would go and I would feel like everything I heard was the ghost. So I'm not sure. I think I do then believe in ghosts.
But you're
think
just
you
not
do.
afraid of
Yeah.
them.
No, I am.
Oh.
But I convince myself there's no such thing as ghosts. It's just, it's the same thing you tell your kids. It's like, oh no, my freaking, the 11-year-old I was just talking about. So this dad comes up to me at basketball practice. He's like, hey, listen, your son told my son that the best movie of all time is Black Phone. Okay, now I was like, wait. And so my son watched it. I watched it. It was really scary. So I go to my son. I say, dude, have you seen Black Phone? He's like, no. So he told the kid, and the kid and his dad. I'm like, thank God, because it looks scary.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Back to you, Kacie.
Okay.
You have another story?
I have many stories.
Oh, I'm sure.
The other story that I was going to tell is the time that this is just things are always going to go in a direction that you don't anticipate sometimes story. At our annual conference that my team put on regionally, this one was the San Francisco one, which was like the flagship conference. We would take our speakers out, for the night before for like a fancy speaker dinner and have everyone get to know each other. And we went to this pretty well-known, like very fancy restaurant in San Francisco, took everyone there, had this big long table, woke up the next morning and everyone has food poisoning. Like all of my speakers, all of my most important customers, my executives, so sick. I had to delay the start of the event. We had to go get everyone like powerful anti-nausea drugs and like little kits. And so the event team had to pivot into like care. And somehow we hydrated and propped everyone up and we didn't have to cancel it. But I basically poisoned my customers and my executive team, which was pretty amazing.
Oh my God.
It's unbelievable. I do believe in it.
Yes, I do too.
Poisoning is worse than ghosts.
Way worse.
Far
worse. Craig, a quick
Oh
question
my
for you.
God.
Do you like the coffee hold like this, or is this better for a podcast?
You asked
I feel
me?
like this looks more official,
Yeah, is
but
this more podcast? Or...
the handle is very important for me on cups. Like some of this one I don't like the grip of.
Fair enough. Greg, your thoughts?
I'm, I only do paper. Even they have to get me paper cups in the office. For whatever reason, mugs. I can't drink coffee out of mugs.
Oh,
Is it the thickness of the rim?
Well, that was very thoughtful of you. I'm not sure I could put a finger on it, actually. Yeah. So
Just curious. This
yeah.
mug, Craig, is from Ruby. Ruby sent me this
What?
mug.
She didn't send me or Matt you know what?
Yes,
I'm gonna
our
write
friend
that
Ruby
down.
at LinkedIn knows that
he
I
knows
love
Ruby.
tea and sent me a special tea mug.
She's so thoughtful.
Thoughtful.
But then what about me? I mean, I guess I don't like mugs.
She would have to send you a
Paper
paper.
cup,
Yeah. So my comment would be, I think this angle where you drink like that's like very Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
And so I'm in favor of that. Yeah. There's many people that are listening to this show that have no idea who Johnny Carson is. Yeah. So thank you. That is an incredible. So was the show successful?
It was successful. We had to sub a couple of people, people in. A couple people were abed all day, but it was a success. Those drove millions of dollars for us because they were deal accelerators, prospect and customer matchmaking.
Yeah, no, I bet. And then just really quick, so the restaurant, what did they say?
They denied, which was really interesting because I had data from a very specific period of time with a group of people who all only did that. And so we ended up refusing to pay. And they did not like that. So then we could never host events there again, unfortunately. But it seemed pretty obvious that was the only thing that could have caused it.
Yeah. But you're very classy to not name the name of the restaurant.
I mean, I'm sure they were horrified.
Yeah.
Boulevard will never be the same.
Yeah, we have a big event next week, and I just keep warning the team. This is not to be negative, guys. I'm just warning you. A shoe will drop in the next 5 days.
Yeah.
It's like it is like clockwork, but Kacie's stories involve haunted houses and mass food poisoning issues. Yeah, those are not shoes that I want to drop right now.
No, I would not wish those upon you.
Yeah, so actually, I appreciate those stories, Kacie. Those were perfect for the show. But you know what? I keep complimenting you. I got to find something where I give you negative feedback.
We'll get there.
Hopefully. If we keep going.
What a lousy food poisoning story. I've heard that.
Let me give Matt some negative.
Yeah, please
feedback.
do. Please, yeah. I'm kind of dressed like a Star Trek agent right now, so.
Yeah, thank you for leading me with that. I wasn't sure what to do about that. Yeah, but you dress cozy for the show. It's interesting. You always do. You have like a sort of
it's a little chilly.
Even in the summer though, you'll dress in like a coat. Like I could see you might want to do a fireplace background. Yeah.
I do love a cozy summer sweater.
Atta boy.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, I flipped that around. I was trying to make it negative, but I ended
up.
I made it positive.
I'm doing my best. Guys. All right, so Kacie, let's teach people something.
Okay.
You have. I've already heard a lot of your stuff. You have incredible ideas. So let's get it's a tough world. It's different, but there's a lot of really great stuff you could do. So like what are 1 to 3 things that you would that you've seen work out there or you've done, and let's teach the audience.
Okay. So I think this is a hard time for a lot of go-to-market folks. But I think it's really exciting because in this sea of what I'm calling AI gold panning, it's like, all these little companies popping up and they're like trying to seize the moment. But all of them are crowding every category. And so there's like 10 of everything now. it makes marketing so much more fun because the key to winning is real, true, authentic differentiation. And that comes back to humanness and authenticity. And those are the parts of marketing I love best. So things that I'm seeing working, this should not come as a surprise, but there are a lot of companies who are sort of wearing the whole 996 hustle grind as a brand identity. That's super boring. And it doesn't actually tell anyone anything about you other than that you uh are prioritizing speed over everything else. And I think founder brand to pipeline, like legitimate, authentic, founder strong narrative, willing to be bold and take risks, willing to be vulnerable, willing to devote time to building out a story that no one else could own because it's uniquely yours and tied to your expertise and experience and point of view and personality. That's where I'm seeing some of these new startups start to win, because I think, as you're coming into a crowded category, you have to seize the story and own the narrative in order for anyone to remember you. And the best way to do that is with the person with the highest conviction on your team, which is your founder. Um, and I think what I'm seeing is the founders who consider this kind of their number one part of their job besides running the business, are the ones that are starting to build really powerful networks. Artur at Fastly was incredible at this. He spent a lot of time um, building up a digital following, attending events, speaking around the world, speaking to press and analysts, writing long form content. He swore all the time. So we were selling to enterprise, like very formal situations, and he would just come in and just drop F bombs all over the place. But he
I
was
love this
so
guy.
compelling and charismatic and smart that everyone would stop to listen to him and no one forgot him. Um, and so I think this founder branded pipeline, figuring out what am I really good at, what's unique about me, and what does my audience that I'm trying to reach care about, and where's the intersection of these things, that beautiful circle in the middle, and how do I get consistent with the way that I'm showing up and be unforgettable, and then turn that into relationships. So like connecting regularly with the audience you're trying to reach, and the folks you're going to be multi-threading with inside of your deals, so that you are the kind of unlocking function inside of your organization, and nothing's going to be blocked or slowed down because you can always have someone on text basis that you can unblock with. And I don't think founders think through this and they often think about this as like, oh, I just need to post some shit. I just need to throw some shit on the internet regularly. And the posting is just the beginning of a process. It's like it's a flywheel where you're building relationships, you're building momentum, you're building a network that will warm up all of the marketing activities and all of the sales activities that your team eventually rolls out. And it's like a force multiplier. And so I don't know why everyone isn't doing this and hiring people to help them get smarter at it, but I think it's one of the best places to start when you're early stage.
Okay, there was a lot there. I'll try to unpack. Matt, is it all right if I just start?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. All right, first one is AI gold panning. Incredible. Is that your word? Phrase?
It is.
God, that was
Yeah.
great. That was great. That was great.
Is there a hyphen in there?
Amazing.
I want to make sure I get it
No.
I think
grammatically
it's two
correct.
separate words. I don't know.
I like it.
We invented it, so we can do whatever we
You
want.
did. I just want to make sure when we quote you, it's accurate.
Oh, I'm going with we. No, I'm not going with we. Okay, that's incredible. I just want audience take note. That was incredible work. All right, so I have a couple things. So one, I do want to go back because we don't have to do this yet. But let's go back because you killed it with this strategy as recently as months ago. So I want to talk to you about, because you have incredible insights on how you made this happen. And I didn't know Fastly was like your test bed and that you had the founder that wanted to go do this.
Yeah,
I do
he's
want to
amazing.
bring up something you also brought up that I think is really interesting. So Albro, Scott Albro's, he's the guy I always quote in my prezos when we go on the roadshow. He had this post that I thought was really interesting, that he said, another hidden thing about growing a company is that you need there is a set of cool kids that run categories. He's like, there's founders in there's influencers in there's I forget what else, like there's this group, and you need your founder to get in that group, right? And like I was like, that was so, because you sort of said that late, was like, by the way, you went through this progression, and then you're like, and then you build your story out there. You actually can't get in that cool kids club unless, well, you have like human skills, but that you have a story. Not that me and Matt are cool, but like Matt hadn't really met you, but he knew that he really wanted you on the show because you've built, right?
Yeah.
You were like, we're like, oh my God, she's one of us. We got to get her on.
I think you're
And
very cool.
oh God.
Too cool for me, probably.
No,
Definitely.
no.
Yeah, no, that's not true. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
you.
But what do you think of that, by the way? That was a really good post by him.
I loved that post. I'm so glad you brought it up. I could not agree with him more. I think this is sort of, I guess you could circle this in the dark social, like dark influence piece of marketing. But people don't buy from people they don't trust, like, respect, admire. And especially in enterprise selling, when you're trying to go up market and crack people who don't have time, are inundated, don't care. If you're selling to a technical buyer, it's even harder. They really don't. They block all your ads, and say they don't want marketing, even though they actually enjoy creative, weird, quirky marketing. But I think this is one of the it's like an unspoken truth that he said out loud, which is, there are rooms where decisions get made. There are rooms where, word of mouth recommendations happen. And then everyone in that room goes and takes that out and disseminates it. And if you're not getting yourself in those rooms as a founder, you're putting your company at a huge disadvantage, and your competitors probably will. So it is, the way he framed that is exactly right. And I think to do that, you have to have a strong point of view. You have to make people feel like you belong with them, or what you're doing makes them belong with you. It's the art of like building a movement around yourself that people can relate to. And if they think that person stands for X, and so do I, or if I hang out with that person, then I will be this type of leader. There's this whole kind of like lore that founders need to build around what they stand for and what type of person you'll be if you're in the circle with them.
Yeah. Because you said is that you have to turn the narrative associated with you into relationships. That was really cool. And these things all fall in line. It's interesting too, because I was thinking about how when you said that, so I had a guy who, like at Topo, we tried to build out the thought leadership footprint to folks, and it was like, you've got to go, and we will allow, we want you to go. We had this rule at Topo, which was you have to meet 5 people a week, right? And like now it's my policy, but we try to do that. And there was this one guy who Matt knows, who I will not name his name out of respect, but like, he just couldn't get people to meet with him. And I was like, and I said, dude, this is the problem. And I'm just going to be honest with you. The initial re-meet, nobody just meets with someone. We don't have time. There's nothing in it for them. Like, you don't have something interesting. And so now, by the way, he's changed. Like, he's
Good.
really active on social, and now he's coming back to me going, hey, dude, I just met this so-and-so. He's actually brought deals to the thing. But it took him, like, having that, his narrative and point of view and unique opinions out into the market for him to change his ability to create relationships. So I thought of that as you were saying that. I love that part. That's
a really good example. I think humans respond organically to conviction. So, I mean, we see it all over in people who are in positions of power. There are very few people in positions of power who aren't um, like high conviction, strong point of view, strong personality and identity, strong narrative and story. I think, you can have a lot of conviction about your company, but if you don't have anything interesting to say and you don't have a point of view that could be, potentially debated, it's too safe, it's too passive. People aren't going to know where you stand or, what they're representing if they stand with you. And so that's boring and not memorable and no one cares.
Yeah. Matt, your thoughts? I jumped right in. I'm going to hold off.
Yeah,
on
I
this
mean,
second.
I think people who try to play things both ways, who waffle, whether it's in like business, whether it's on a LinkedIn conversation, it never goes anywhere, right? Like the things that get the most attention are strong opinions, right? Good or bad, they get the most attention, and that can be both positive and negative, right? Like, so here I am waffling on it. I just like people, to Casey's point, who come out and take a stand, right? Like, I think if you rewind the clock to my time at Marketo, like, we were very convicted in what we were doing. We built a movement around what we were doing, and we said, this is the way it has to be done. It wasn't like, well, you could do it this way, and that might, improve some of your metrics. We were like, this is how you do marketing in the modern era. These are the types of results that you're going to get. And that worked really well. And we were able to Casey's point, like, build a movement. We were able to establish this is who we are. And there were a bunch of people that wanted to be a part of that club, and it worked. I think the same has been true in other categories as well. You see it, for me personally, I see it a lot in GTM categories. I thought SalesLoft led like a very strong revolution there, outreach being the sort of counterpart to that. Like, there were people that were building a real movement. I have not really seen it all that much lately, especially on the GTM side, because there's so many different paths that I think you can take at this point. But like, I'm telling you, the second somebody is like, this is how you do AI and GTM, and they like get super convicted, this is how you build it, this is what you do, this is the process. There is such a huge opportunity for someone to step in and grab that and run with it, that they will get everybody behind them. The problem is that, everything's a little too fragmented right now, but if you could come in and lead that revolution, like, you could be every bit as big as some of these hyperscalers right now.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of pieces to building a movement. One of them is sort of your founder brand and your positioning and this story of the future that you're seeding a little bit early so everyone else can feel like they're part of seeing something before everyone else, the layman sees it. And it's this sort of like FOMO, or like, I'm part of something special, I'm part of a special group. And then there's an element of like defining the market. So I think that's missing right now. It's like it's so fragmented. No one really knows, like, do I need this tool and this tool? Do these replace each other? What do I need? Like, does this do the same thing as that? No one's coming out and saying, here is what you need. This is the best in class stack for AI GTM, right?
Yes.
Like, if you come out and you define that and you say, this is all you need right here, and then you bring those people in to partner with you and you say, this is the superhero team that you need to take yourself into the future. That's then you have the beginnings of a movement.
Yeah, agreed.
That's awesome. Okay, so actually, I have two things written down, and I'm not sure which one to go with first. I'm going to let Matt vote.
Let's help you decide.
Okay, so number one is, do we dive in? do we dive into Kacie's like how you execute on the founder brand, or do we do a little more conversation? Because one thing she said to me the other day, which like has never left my brain, is she threw it in, by the way, in her early soliloquy, was bold brand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Bold positioning, bold brand. And that you cannot succeed in this crowded world without a bold approach to those sort of traditional marketing things.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to do, Matt?
Well, let's talk bold brand, because I think.
I knew you were going to choose that. That was awesome.
Oh, you
Man,
knew
look
that.
at
Yeah,
that.
I mean, part of the reason is like we haven't had a lot of like brand marketers on.
Yes,
So,
that's a good point. Yeah.
yeah, let's dive right in.
So, Kacie, bold. That is a big word. Tell us why, and then tell us like what, like how we should think about it. I love that. I mean, honestly, has not left my brain.
I love that that's not left your brain.
You've haunted
I
me. Sorry, that was earlier. Yeah.
She didn't food poison you.
Dad joke. All right, my bad. All right, go ahead, Kacie.
I've been having a lot of conversations. I've probably had at least 100 founder conversations in the last few months. So I've been seeing kind of all these different lenses of, here's who we are. Here's the beginnings of a brand, or here's the, highly developed brand that we've built over the years. I've been talking to big and small companies, and I think I've worked across B2B and B2C, so I think I have a unique, slightly, weird point of view on what bold means. I think in B2B tech, often it's construed as like aggressive, or like, coming for your competitors, or um, punching down or punching up. And you see that a lot in some of the founders that have gone viral in the last year or so. There have been some public battles, and also staged, fake battles, almost like wrestling. But I kind of think there's another element to it that we can learn from B2C, which is like, uh, how do you become unforgettable in a way that like you said, like you haven't stopped thinking about that. How do you become the brand that people can't stop thinking about because they're so weird, or so unique, or so tied into some sort of human mission? And when I was at Fastly, we really leaned into the weirdness of engineers. Like, engineers are fascinating, nerdy, weird people with lots of like inside jokes. They love Easter eggs. And our founder was extremely bold as a human. He had bright red hair, big red beard, like swore all the time, super, super like sure of himself and confident and convicted. And so, when we were designing the brand, it's bright red. Um, it's quirky and funny. Like, we didn't take ourselves too seriously. We were doing serious stuff, delivering, basically the entire internet. But there are people, that we were selling to, who ran the internet and ran their company's network teams. And so if we had just gone for like, what our competitor was doing, which was very corporate, very bland, very safe, very compliancy, we would have lost. And so we had to be the incumbent that was coming in and going like, we're gonna build a better internet. We're gonna rally everyone together with us. We are gonna choose who we work with, and we are not going to support violence on our network or hate. Our competitors took anyone that would pay them money. We took a stand. So that was kind of the beginning of like, what is our definition of bold? Our definition of bold is we're going to define what a better internet looks like, and who the people are building it, which open source projects, which engineers, which companies. And we're going to stand against things that we think are bad for the future of the internet and the future of humanity. And then we're going to throw in like things that make us seem more human. So we're gonna laugh at ourselves. I did a whole video about Fastly and the speed of the internet where we actually brought in pigeons and like filmed ourselves launching messenger pigeons to show, like the difference between us and a competitor. It was ridiculous. The pigeons got stuck in our office. And they were just in there like pooping on people for a long time.
What?
But
Thank
I
you,
had a
by the way.
team that was like, let's do it. Like let's take people downhill skiing. Let's take people racing at the BMW track with our CEO, who is like, out of control speed racer. Let's like do the pigeons. Let's do, ridiculous shit that Liquid Death would only do.
Yeah.
Let's give away weird stuff. Um, and it worked because people were like, oh, this is memorable. I want to be a part of this. We like that you stand for something. You walk the talk. And we built a whole open source program where we gave back millions and multi-millions of dollars to open source and nonprofits powering
This
the
is
internet.
brilliant.
And so when people looked at us, they were like, we know who you are. It wasn't just like, oh, this is the back end of the internet. It was the humanity behind the internet.
Dude,
Amazing.
so good. Oh man,
Well, I think that I think the one
that
thing
was a great story.
I think the one thing that helps marketers create a sort of bold marketing and a bold brand is have bold values as an organization. I think one of the things that's tricky is when if you enter a company and you're kind of like, hey, I want to do something crazy here, but it doesn't align with the values of the organization, then it always feels a little inauthentic. And
That's a really good point.
I think
It feels like a stunt.
yeah. So like when, I sorry to bring up Marketo again, but like Marketo had like this, one of our company values was that we and I always bring this up at every company is that we had a, a violent pace of innovation, right? So we just always wanted to be innovating. And part of that became, the brand, and it became part of why we did certain things because we wanted to do innovative things, not just in terms of the products that we created, but in terms of the content that we created, in terms of the events that we did, right? Like, and
Yeah.
it's values like that that sort of permeate through an organization. And I think your example of Fastly is really pertinent because in my experience, and I think most of our listeners, and I'm sure that both of you would agree with me, is like the culture of a company is the culture that of the CEO, right? So it makes sense if you've got a bright red hair, a bright big beard CEO to have a red brand, and if he's a adrenaline junkie to be called Fastly and to do things that push the limits, right? Like that all makes sense. And I think in certain cases, especially in early stage businesses, CEOs are not always aware that like they are the catalyst for the brand, and it's like you have to cultivate that from them, and then that has to be a part of the company culture, it has to be the company values, and then it extends out into the marketing, and you got to do the work to cultivate that. If you're not willing to do the work, then a lot of marketing feels a little scattershot, feels a little inauthentic. It's like, oh, let's try this, let's try that. If you have like a base to draw off of, the sort of the outline for what the company should be and what it should mean and why people should buy our product, and then you bring that into the culture of the company, the marketing will reflect that with the right marketing leader on board.
Yes, you cannot do this without the founder. I think a lot of people try and it falls flat and it's inauthentic. And I think a lot of founders don't take this as seriously as they should. And also I think oftentimes, like when you're early stage, people overthink this. Like it's like sitting in a room with your founder and going, what do you stand for? What do you hate? Like what do you think is wrong that we're gonna fix in the future? Like in a persona, like identity archetype wheel. Are you the rebel? Are you the educator? Are you the, like which one of these different types of voices are you? And are we, as a result, because we're gonna mirror that. It doesn't have to be like some long, like drawn out templated process. I think in the beginning, it's a lot better if it's organic conversations where your team's coming together going like, who are you? Who are we? What do we stand for? Where's the line where you cross the gray area and we say that's bad, that's good. We stand for this. We do not stand for that.
I love that you know how many CMO bodies are buried from the belief that they could go in with a founder or CEO who was not going to be bought in with this, that, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to change it. You guys have unlocked a reason for constant churn and, frankly, a lot of pain in the CMO world, because if you don't have what you guys just described, if you don't have someone willing to build that sort of value set that will allow you to build the brand on top of, you're either not going to be happy or you're not going to make it.
It also trickles all the way through to Matt's point. Like, it's inauthentic if it's not represented in the way you prioritize and interact with your customers. This stuff was written. I wrote this stuff into our S1. It said, like, we win business because we're good people. We only work with companies with integrity and who are honest and trustworthy and do not promote violence and hate. That was written into our S1. And it was from our customers' words. They told us, we buy from you because you're good people. We had competitors, who would try and undercut and, come in and say bad things about us. And they would just send us the emails and laugh, because like we were friends. And the same aggression and dedication and conviction with which we like promoted the future that we were building in the movement was applied to customer success and customer happiness. And we tracked our customers being promoted because all of them were promoted repeatedly and celebrated that. And that was part of our brand. So it has to go all the way through, or people will start to pick up that you don't really mean it.
That's amazing. There's something that I wanted to bring up. All of these things, there was something really early on in this conversation that you had said, Kacie, that I think is really important. Because one of the issues that I know, because, I'm on this inside where I see how the board interacts with the team, is everyone knows that they're going to care about brand, but there's if you're taking it from a marketing perspective, there's pipeline and there's the effectuation of deals. And early when Kacie was going through her initial speech, she said, LinkedIn founder brand to pipeline. And I just want to make sure, because Kacie saw real results at Sendoso as well, and I do want to make sure we cover that, because I think this is so important, everything that we've talked to up to this point. But then we're going to have like a certain part of the audience is like, well, show me the money. And in the case of Kacie, like, she literally had results in deal size, right, and pipeline,
Deal
et
size,
cetera.
Win rate, pipeline, deal acceleration. Yeah, I think this is a really good point. I feel like brand's making a comeback, but there's still a lot of hesitation and kind of fear around being a brand to demand or brand focused CMO, because so many of us have been burned. At Sendoso, I started getting really obsessed with how broken attribution is, because I felt like it was holding me back and getting all of my friends fired. And all of us have dealt with sort of this box that we helped build, honestly, where we're either measuring first or last touch, and trying to fit everything into a perfect spreadsheet, and it's siloed, by each tactic or each channel, and it's like dollar in, $3 out, make this perfect, which does not align in any way with the way that humans buy things, or the way that we think about deal cycles. And so I kind of came in like a wrecking ball into Sendoso because I could. We were, struggling and we needed to rebuild and rethink. And so it was kind of my favorite type of environment. And And we started looking at mixed model and multi-touch and correlative and self-reported attribution and melding it all together. And yeah, we still looked at last touch, first touch, just for sort of like, you know, um, tracking purposes. But I basically came in and said, I will be the owner of all qualified pipeline. Marketing will be judged on sales qualified pipeline so that we will shake hands on the quality being the most important thing and the conversion rate. Um, and we are going to invest heavily in brand because we were struggling. The perception of Sendoso was not what we wanted it to be, and we were being undercut by competitors. We were not we had lost our spot as the leader in the category. And so all the signs that you see, like deal sizes going down, sales starting to struggle, customers churning, were happening. And so we really heavily started by investing in like, okay, how are we going to track this first? We're going to track this from an ecosystem marketing standpoint. So looking at like all of the touch points in a deal from an account progression standpoint, like who are the people the accounts we're trying to reach, and what signals are we using to determine that, and then how are you going to track that these deals are accelerating, that we're multi-threading through them, that they're engaging with more channels, and then that they're faster, bigger, um, and sales is being more successful and deal sizes are going up, like over time. And so I kind of built that foundation before we really heavily started going into brand work. And then we built a bench of executives who aligned with the personas we were trying to reach, and we held ourselves accountable for consistently going out and representing different angles of our narrative, which was very heavily based in human connect. This is the era of human connection. We're moving out of the like growth hacking, like focus on the end of the marketing funnel. This era is all about human relationships and connection. And we pushed it really hard, and because we were direct mail, we could do really cool weird stuff, like launch a whole campaign around the TV show Severance, where you're like severed from your work self. And like I targeted all of the marketers that were part of that group that aligned with my ICP on LinkedIn, because there was a fake
That's so
company,
cool.
so I could actually advertise to it.
Yeah.
So we did some weird stuff that people would be like, what's happening? But I actually was tracking like over time, who is seeing those ads at our target accounts. As we started to stack paid on top of organic, is our paid performing more successfully? It actually ended up being 10x more successful when we invested in brand first. Our outbound efforts went through the roof. Our team was at 113% of quota, like consistently. And that was from like the ashes of an outbound team that had been completely decimated, and the company had decided outbound doesn't work because they were doing it cold. And we had 11% higher win rates, 120% bigger deal sizes, 40% more successful AEs. And I was tracking in Salesforce pipeline directly coming from our executives' DMs. So I was like throwing off 6 figures of pipeline, meetings booked straight through my DMs, just from me posting every month. And our the rest of our executive team, and then we had a bench that included an AE, our head of BD, who was exceptional and actually taught all of us how to do this really well, Katie Penner, and Chris, our CEO. And yeah, so I mean, I was going into our LT meetings and our board meetings going like, look, here's where we started. Here's the force multipliers that are lifting the impact of everything we're doing. And here's the pipeline directly coming from our executives and their organic work. Here's the ads that we're slapping paid on top, and we're using those as thought leadership ads, as document ads. Our ads actually drove qualified pipeline instead of just like, the glamour metrics that we were looking at previously when I started. And then we, I would show the full picture of, it was like show and tell enterprise deal. Here's the last 3 deals. Here's what happened. Here's what transpired. You can actually see the multi-threading happen. You can see the multi-channel engagement. You can see where there's a spike and there's a ton of ad engagement and organic engagement. And then there's like a sales interaction. And, we obviously threaded direct mail and gifting through all of that in a really thoughtful, personalized way. And a lot of that was augmented by AI. And so, like if you end up looking at it full picture, it's a lot easier than if you're just looking at the last touch that's like, oh,
Yeah.
all of this came through direct opportunities, which is utterly meaningless. It doesn't show you any of the things that happened before they actually came direct to the website.
That was amazing. How about that, Matt?
I mean,
A brand person coming in hot. Oh, are you poo-pooing it?
am I
Hold on,
poo-pooing it? No,
Casey, let's watch.
I mean,
You went,
no,
I mean, that,
this is what Casey's known for, right? Like, this is like, I think, a story like that solidifies the way she talks, the way
Yeah.
she builds GTM. And it's, in a lot of cases, people think about brand and they think about how it's like, it's art school and it's, it's this and
Yeah.
that. But like, when you can tie it into real results like that, it's just, that's how it goes from being something that you sort of pontificate about, like in CMO circles, and you take it straight to a board and it makes sense to everybody. So what a great way to finish off the pod.
bam. That's the transaction, man.
That
Let's
is a
go.
transaction.
I'm going to Vegas. Yeah.
Where are you
And then I'll
staying?
be going to bed.
Where are you staying?
I'm going to go to bed tonight at 10 p.m. The M Resort, I don't know what
off
that
the
is.
strip. Yeah, it's nice.
We have to because we're not playing on. I mean, yeah. So we used to stay at somewhere in Henderson, and they closed the pool, and so we have all these kids. So we needed one that kept the pool open.
Well, it does get
So,
chilly
yes.
in Vegas this time of year.
Oh, I don't want it to be chilly.
It could be chilly.
Oh, that's not good. I want to go to one of those restaurants in like the outside the strip, like a famous one that's been around since Ace Rosenthal was there, type of thing. I don't know, like red velvet type stuff. But anyway, Kacie, you're the best. Thank you. Great show. You're coming
Thanks
back.
for having me.
Yeah,
we
that
want to
was
have you on
awesome.
again. That was so good.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Transaction. Craig and I really appreciate the fact that you've listened all the way to the end. What are you actually doing here? For show notes and other episodes, please visit us at thetransactionpod.com. Like and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other place you get your podcast from. Either you have walked away from your podcast device, or this is playing somewhere in the background. Someone in your house would really like for you to shut this off now.